Hello, everybody. We are Geeks Assembled, and I hope you got your climbing gear ready because today we're going to be watching the 2005 film The Descent. So let's go to our very short amount of people we've got today. Let's start with Lee. What did you think of that one?
Well, I was hoping Susan would be here because, having a female included in these casts would have been good for this movie, because people are always saying there's no movies or TV stuff out there for strong female characters. This movie has got 6 strong female characters, and they all do a brilliant job in this movie. Very claustrophobic, and until rewatching it this week, I forgot how dark it was. Not as in dark, as in really horrifying, but dark as in dark. You can't see anything. I know it's in the caves and it's in the catacombs and stuff like that, but this is my gripe about this movie. It is too dark. It's that dark, you can't really see what the action is going on. When they're all running about, you think what's going on. But apart from that, I can't think of another movie before this what's told a story like this. I've been racking my brains all week, and I can't think of one. So this is a first. So back then, this was a fresh idea for a movie, and they did it well. It's acted well, and it does get you involved. You wonder what's going on with these characters, and then once you found the what do you call them, the underdwellers or whatever you want to call them, the cave people, it sort of goes to another level. Which, because if you came into this film not knowing what's involved in the story was, you would have been completely shocked of what happens when these people appear. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It's good to rewatch it. Was it a film? Neil Marshall did this movie. I mean, he's done a few movies. One of his most famous ones was Dog Soldiers. So he did a good job with this one, and I enjoyed it. But as I say, my only gripe is the scenes are too dark to see certain things what are going on. Over to you, Jake.
Fair enough, right? So let's squeeze through a tunnel and get to Connor. What are your favourite? I said it wrong. What are your opening thoughts on The Descent?
I'm not a massive fan of horror. I prefer psychological horror, or you could call that psychological thriller. And I've got to say that I thought that this film was a bit boring, to be honest. It felt disjointed. Felt like 3 different kind of stories to me. The first part, where she leaves the previous cave expedition that she did, and then her husband and daughter end up getting killed. And then you have the middle bit, which is kind of her a year later, kind of re-meeting with her cave pals, and then going on another expedition, and then getting trapped in the cave, and then the last part is getting attacked by monsters. It kind of felt like 3 different kind of movies, and I don't totally see how, apart from a few kind of allusions here and there, how the first part where the daughter dies and the husband dies necessarily informs the rest of the movie, which is how it should feel. That said, yeah, the female characters, Juno and Sarah and all that lot, were very strong characters, but I didn't find them particularly likable, which I've got to say is another massive flaw for me. Because if you can't find any character likable within the movie, then it's a tough watch to get through. The only one that I think could come remotely to being like for me, and it turned out that she was actually kind of the antagonist, was Juno, to be honest. And it's not even really her story. which kind of makes it a bit, I don't know, it's just kind of middle of the road, boring, predictable horror. Though I did like the cave setting. I thought the cave setting was very unique, and it did add to the claustrophobic aspect of it. I did like the cinematography, like some of the lighting, the green lighting and stuff like that was kind of nice to look at. And Neil Marshall, I am familiar with him as a director. He's done a few Game of Thrones episodes. He recently did the Hellboy with David Harbour, which wasn't very good either. So I am familiar with his work, but unfortunately, unlike probably everyone else in here, I'm just not a massive fan of The Descent, to be honest with you, unfortunately.
Well, that's all right. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. Right, and he's here. So right over to our national treasure, it's Philip Archer. What do you think of The Descent, our very own cave monster? You're muted.
First things first, I'm not old enough to be a national treasure just yet. We'll leave that to Lee, shall we? But anyway, I like this movie. I thought it was, it's a very girl flick kind of thing, but I think it took a while to get into things. The only time I think it really picked up when they came across those cannibal kind of creatures, whatever they were. And I don't actually understand who they were or where they come from. Were they previous mountaineers or potholders who got trapped down there? How did they get that like that? It should have explained a bit more about how they were and what, it didn't make any sense. I happened to watch the uncut version of this, which had a bit more gore in it than you would have got on the standard one. The gore was a bit full on, I must say. The bit where one of the girls is poking the monster's eye out, and you see all the bug go, that's a bit nice. The story itself, only one survived. Yeah. Have I got that right? Only one survived out of all that lot. Oh, actually,
Juno's in the second one.
Right, because she drove away. She ran out of the cave. She got out of the cave and ran the car and drove God knows where. But yeah, so only one survived. It's an okay film. It's just a bit paint by numbers, really. You know what's going to happen. You know where it's going. You know that most of them are going to have some sort of damage to their personal structure and all that. It's okay, but it's not good. It's not brilliant, but it's okay.
Thank you, Philip.
Right.
Now, The Descent is probably my favourite horror film of all time. I love this film. It's so atmospheric and claustrophobic. I love the idea of the creatures. Now, I get the idea of the creatures because they're like these people that have been stuck in these caves. They've learnt to adapt. They've evolved to be able to, because it can happen, to crawl up walls, eat flesh. And they're so white because it's in the light. So they've adapted to their surroundings. They've adapted to echolocation and excellent hearing. That's what happens when you're stuck in a dark space for ages. You start to hear things better than see things. But yeah, this film, I'm not the hugest horror fan, but I think the jumpy bits in this were very well done. The jumpy bits that we got, especially when she's looking through the window and she got a pole in the eye. I was like, that scared me a bit. I do feel sorry for Sarah because she goes through an awful lot. And like Connor says, it's quite a strong female cast. It's very good acting from all of them. They're really believable. There's not one part of these people, the acting, that's like, oh, that seems very realistic. Because stuff like this, minus the monsters, stuff like this does happen. People do get stuck in caves, and they do go through all this trauma. And the thing, nearly all of this was filmed in a set. Hardly any of this is actually filmed in the real cave, apart from the outside bit. And I think it makes this film so much better, knowing the amount of detail they went through. But anyway, let's climb up a wall and go to our favourite moments. Let's do reverse, so we'll start again with our national treasure, Philip Archer. What do you think? What are your favourite moments?
Favourite moments? The bit where the woman, where I don't know what her name is, but she fell down a little circular rabbit hole, and she mashed up her leg, and the bone was protruding out of that. I like that bit. Oh, and the bit where the other one of them, I don't know their name, so I'm going to say one of the women. One of the women comes into a big old bone area cave, and the one that got pulled through the neck, she's still there, and she's like, oh, and then so the other woman had to sort of finish her off, really, rather than let her stay there. And you know what? I had a feeling that it was like being in hell. You're trapped in hell, and that's your hell. Where you die in that graveyard full of bones and stuff. What a horrible kind of hell that is. So that was my favourite part. Thank you.
All right, now over to Connor. What are your favourite moments?
I think that my favourite moments is probably because it was a decent setup to the story, which ended up having nothing to do with the story. In a way, was the beginning. To be honest, I did like the idea of kind of taking this ordinary woman and putting her in sort of extraordinary circumstances where she loses both her husband and her daughter very much to a freak accident. And that was, and obviously then she ends up waking up in hospital, and as she's running down the corridor, kind of the light starts to cut out on her as she runs, and then it's kind of like snaps back into reality. I did like that. Unfortunately, it didn't follow through. I felt with any of that as much as I would have liked. I think I do like the gore. I will admit, yeah. I think seeing things like bones protruding through her leg added some kind of like entertainment value to it, I guess you could say, in a sick, sort of twisted way. But yeah, to me, it's just it's so disjointed that it's hard to put everything into context of favourite moments. So I would say I think my favourite part of it was definitely the beginning of the movie.
Right, thank you, Connor. Right, over to Lee. What are your favourite moments?
Well, I do like the cave dwellers. Really good design on those, and I don't think they were the remains of people what got stuck down there, because they went hunting outside. So I don't think it was that, as you say, but it's not explained what they are, where they're from, and yeah, I can see why Connor feels it disjointed. Yeah, it does, with the beginning, the middle bit, and I was more distracted with the ending because, I mean, I haven't seen the sequel, but the ending where she escapes in the car and then all of a sudden she's back in the cave. Is that the real thing, or is that the dream?
It's a hallucination.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. Was there a sequel planned then, or was that just going to be it? Was this just going to be the movie?
Yeah, and I wish after seeing the second one, it should have been just this movie.
Ah, right. Because as I say, I was a bit confused with that. I thought, right, okay, is she in the car or is she still in the cave? But yeah, I say, well, actually, I don't mind a bit of gore. I love that. Obviously, that the one with the pickaxe through the neck was brilliant. But yeah, as you say about details of the sets, you couldn't see much of the details. It was too dark. This is my other gripe with it. It was too dark.
I think it helped with the claustrophobic and whole atmosphere of the thing, though, because they're all stuck.
Yeah, it does. But when they're all running about, and you're watching the screen.
I hate to break it to you, Lee. If you was in a cave in real life, it would be that dark.
You wouldn't get me in a cave. I'm sorry. No way. And that's what I couldn't understand as well. Is it Juno? Why do that? Why take your friends to an unmapped cave system? They're supposed to be professional cave.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, she's trying to feed their ego and prove that.
Yeah, but in that case, you should tell. They're still professionals. You should inform people where you're going.
Mm.
because you don't know what's going to happen, exactly like this movie. So, but yeah, I mean, it was enjoyable, but there are better ones out there. I mean, it passed. It passed. What was it? 2 hours, and it didn't drag. I don't think it dragged. But it was just for me. I think there should have been a little bit more light in the cavern, so you could see things, what was happening.
Mm.
But the cave dwellers, brilliantly done.
Yeah,
I love that.
them.
Yeah, over to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Lee. Right, my favourite moment is the confrontation between Sarah and Juno. Juno got exactly what she deserved. I loved how I disagree what the two chaps have said. It does sort of continue on from the beginning, because throughout the whole thing you see Sarah seeing things, but you just can't really sit. But it's not really expressed on screen, if that makes sense. But if you watch it very carefully, you can see it. She's seeing things. She just doesn't bring it up. So it does keep coming back to her, sort of thing. The whole thing is her trying to cope with her mental health issues, and her trying to like get used to what's going on. But, yes, please. And the cave dwellers are terrifying. They're scary as shit. Like, all you see these glimpses of these white shimmering things, and yeah, the whole thing between Juno is a right cunt. Sorry, but how can you do that to your friend? I think she's disgusting. Such a shame there is a second one to prove that she is alive, because I really hope that she got torn to shreds, because it's what she deserved. And there's so many bits I could say like that. And like Lee said earlier, when that poor woman got a fucking hiking pick right in her neck, that was quite shocking. Even though I've seen this numerous times, it still made me gasp a little bit. That's the way she swung it round into her neck and went, oh, yeah. But yeah, and that Philip said about Sarah having to smash her friend's head in with the rock to kill her. I love that bit too. But I think that's quite an emotional scene for Sarah, because obviously she's losing someone else. But yeah, I'm going to open the floor up to everyone. Oh no, one more bit I'm going to mention before we go into the only bit that I don't like about this film at the beginning. So Sarah has obviously gotten out of her hospital bed. She's in a hospital gown. She collapses in the middle of the hallway. How many fucking nurses ignored them and walked past her? What were they like? Oh, she's orthopedics problem. It's like, just laying there in a mental breakdown. Nurses going around, oh, psych ward can deal with her, sort of thing. It's like, surely someone would have gone, are you all right, and help her? No, it's leave her bleeding out on the floor with her friends who go, ah! To everyone. No, God, so please drag her away and put her in a straitjacket. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm opening the floor to everyone now. So anything else any of you want to say about this film?
I have to agree about the ending. I don't like it was all a dream, sort of, even though it was just that little bit and it wasn't the whole movie, which would have made it even worse. It feels like a cheap cop-out. It would have been a lot better to see her kind of fight her way through to get out of the cave rather than just dream it. Or if that's even the reality of it, you know. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of the whole. It felt very cliche.
With the ending, what you're saying there is what it's explained to be. After they was fighting it all together and she left her, she then went somewhere and collapsed out of exhaustion, and that's how she's in that place when she wakes up. So she didn't dream the whole thing with her and Juno. That actually happened. She actually did stab her and everything. That happened.
Yeah. I'm talking about the escape in the.
I like that though. It sort of explained that she can never really escape the horrors that she's going through, and it's all like her trying to, like the way she kept seeing her daughter. I think that's her way of trying to cope with it. She's imagining escaping. And I think with having Juno there in the car is that horror breaking through, like you're never going to get out, you're stuck, sort of thing. And that's why, God, I wish that awful sequel wasn't made, because this has made such a good standalone film. Anyway, anyone else? No, right then, let's go on the final say and score. I'll start with Lee. What is your final say and score on The Descent?
Oh, this is a difficult one to score because I enjoyed it. It's not an awful movie. I mean, I have got several little gripes about it. So, and as I say, back then, a cave system with a horror movie was quite fresh. It hadn't sort of been done before. So, I'm giving it a 7.
Right. And over to Connor. What do you think? Final score, please.
It wasn't a total descent into shittiness, but it was kind of middle of the road. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Philip, what is your final score for The Descent? You're muted again. We're not doing The Shape of Water.
Ooh, why not? Anyway, it tried what it tried to do. It was good in some places. It's a very feministic movie, so I think certain aspects of women would love it. And it shows that men are cunts because they tear you apart and everything. But I'll give it an 8. Why not?
Right, and because I love it so much, I'm going to give it 9.5 poles through the eye out of 10. Right, so with that, I'd like to thank you all for joining me, you for watching. If you also love this underrated horror film as much as I do, comment below. Don't forget, and if you want to join us, don't forget to contact us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Geeks Assembled. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ding that bell. And we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.